Welcome to Flow. Let's get started. Today we'll start off lying down. Bring your knees together and open your feet wide. Bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. And take these first few moments to bring your focus and awareness to your breath. Breathe into the space underneath your hands. Feel the expansion of your torso as you breathe in. And as you exhale, allow your body to sink a little heavier onto the mat. Slowly place your hands off to the side and bring your feet so they're hips-width distance apart, about 2 fist distance. From here, push down into your feet, lift your hips for a simple bridge pose. Make sure that your knees are tracking right over your toes, and then lower your hips. So we'll take a few of these bridge poses, just going up and down, finding a bit of activation into your back body, into your glutes and hamstrings. Notice if you're bringing more awareness into the outside edges of your feet. Try to bring some weight into your big toe as well. We'll take about 10 of these bridges total, just up and down, finding a bit more activation. After your 10th time, hold your hips at the top, shift all of your weight onto your right foot, flex your left foot and bring it slightly in front of your right toes. Pull back on your left heel so you're activating your left hamstring, and then pull your right fingertips back so you're getting a bit of an opening into your right wrist and forearm. Really pull back with your left heel so you're finding that activation into the left hamstring and then also into the right glute. And then switch, so your left foot will come down, flex your right foot, pull back on your right heel, and then take your left fingertips and pull them back, finding a bit of stretch into your left wrist and forearm. Really actively pull back with your right heel as you push down into your left foot, hips up towards the ceiling. Find this activation, hold on to this strength, and then slowly release. Your right foot can come back next to your left, lower your hips all the way down to the ground. Pull your knees into your chest and take just a moment. You can grab hold of fingers or wrists or forearms and maybe take an easy little side-to-side rock. Just allow a bit of stretch and openness into your lower back and hamstrings. Take a few more moments of breath here, just allowing some release into the lower back, maybe into the hamstrings. And our next position is going to be a prone position, belly down position. So however you need to bring yourself around to that position, bring your hands so they're one on top of the other, kind of acting like a pillow for your head. Bend your knees, flex your feet. Now start to lift your knees off the ground, hold for 5 seconds, and then lower with control. And we're gonna take this about 10 times. So what we're focusing on here is finding activation once again into the back body, into the hamstring, and into the glutes. So really find this moment where you lift. The knees don't have to lift very high. Mine are only lifting a few inches up off the ground. Find that activation, the control into the hamstrings and the glutes, and then lower with control. Hold for about 5 seconds at the top, and then lower. And as you're doing this, notice what's happening with your belly. You do want to have a bit of engagement through your core as well. And you'll start to tire out through these bigger muscles, and that's okay. That's kind of the point here. After your last set, release yourself back, tuck your toes under, find a tuck-toed child's pose. Bring your hips back to your heels and walk your fingertips long in front of you. Take about 5 big breaths into this tuck-toed child's pose. Maybe feeling a nice stretch into the bottoms of your feet, and emphasize finding breath into the space between your shoulder blades. Bring yourself up to a tabletop position, extend your right leg back long behind you, and then bend your right knee in half. Start to press your right foot up towards the ceiling. And really think of squaring your right hip down to the mat. We'll take about 10 little pulses here. Notice if you're really allowing your spine to move. Try to keep your spine as still as possible and your core actively engaged. Now, after you've taken about 10 of these pulses, option to flip your left toes under, lift your left knee, and take about 10 more pulses. So this is going to add another layer of activation into the core. And if that's feeling like too much for you, keep your bottom knee down and just take an additional 10 pulses. We're still feeling a good amount of activation into the right hamstring. We're going to go ahead and swap sides, but before we swap, just take a few moments to circle through your spine. A bit of a cat-cow here, just find a bit of circular motion. Doesn't have to look like anything. It just should feel like a nice release into the spine, into the hips, and even into the neck and the shoulders. Let's go ahead and move to the other side. Extend the left leg long. Lift your left leg, bend your left knee in half, and then start to push your left foot up towards the ceiling. Notice what's happening with the left hip. It may kind of be rolling up. Try to square your left hip down to the mat. Bring a little more weight into your left hand. And this exercise demands a lot of control from your core as well. Make sure you're not just releasing or dumping into your lower back. Now, option to keep your bottom knee, your right knee on the mat, or option to flip your right toes under, float your right knee, a little more advanced strengthening version, a little more for the core, and take 10 additional little pulses with your left foot. And if the right knee lifted is a little too much, keep the right knee down and just do these additional 10 pulses. Lots of control, very slow movement, definitely feeling a bit of a burn into the left glute and the left hamstring. Lower your left knee, come back to your tabletop position, and start to move through a little variation of cat and cow, maybe taking some circles into the hips and the rib cage. And again, this doesn't have to look like anything. It just should feel like a really nice release into the spine, just finding a bit of extra movement. Come back to neutral tabletop, flip your toes under and walk your feet forward so you're in a ragdoll forward fold. Separate your feet about hips width distance, bend your knees a lot. Interlace your fingers and clasp your hands behind your head. Try to bring your elbows down to your shins and maintain that nice, deep, juicy bend through your knees, trying to allow your torso to rest on your thighs. Take a bit of movement through your jaw, through your neck, and then slowly release your hands and roll yourself all the way up to stand. Stack through your vertebrae. We're going to move into a bit of a balance exercise. So bring all of your weight into your left foot, extend your right leg back long behind you, bring your hands to rest on your left thigh, kind of coming into a bit of a running man position with your legs, and start to find a deeper bend into your left knee. So we're just finding these little pulses into the bottom left leg. And you never need to get either leg completely straight. The right leg at this moment should be pretty stationary. We're really just finding this movement into the bottom left leg. We're gonna take about 10 pulses here. And as you're doing this, notice if your chest really wants to sink down. Try to keep the lift, the elevation of your chest, nice and long through the back of your neck. After your 10th, keep the bend of your left knee and start to pulse your right leg. Similar to when we were in that all fours position, just pushing the right foot up towards the ceiling. We'll take about 10 of these little pulses. As you're moving the right leg, try to keep the rest of your body completely still. So your core is really engaged here. Got a nice bend of your bottom knee. After your last round, pull your right knee up, just a bit of a moment for balance. And then release your right foot down to the mat. You can take a moment to kind of jog it out, release some energy from your left foot especially, and we'll move this to the opposite side. So shift all of your weight onto your right foot. You can bring your hands to rest on your right thigh, and we'll start off with these pulses of the bottom right leg. So your left knee can be in a bit of a running man position, both of your hips square down to the mat. And then take a moment. You can always bring your hand to your core. Notice how you're engaging there. Keep the back of your neck nice and long, and this is going to start to fire up some of those bigger leg muscles, especially the right quad, the right hamstring, as well as helping in the stabilization. Also, the right ankle and the right foot getting a lot of work here as well. We do about 10 of these pulses, and then stay low in the right knee and start to pulse your back left leg, like you're trying to push the bottom of your left foot up towards the ceiling. Maintain activity in your core here. Try not to release through your lower back. Keep both of your hips square down to the mat. And then slowly pull your left knee up. Take a little balance moment. Bring your left foot down and just allow a moment to jog that out. We're gonna move into some elephant walks here. So flex your right foot in front of you and then start to sweep your arms down by your right ankle. And we just alternate from side to side. So this is a really nice way to get a bit of a stretch into both of your hamstrings. Nothing that we're holding too long, but just kind of moving from side to side. So it's a little more of an active stretch. You can also find a bit of movement into the upper back, the upper torso. That can feel nice as well. Take a couple more each side, just moving through this, and then bring yourself back to a standing position. Bring your chin to your chest and come all the way down once again into your forward fold. And just pause for a moment. Have a bit of buoyancy in your knees, just a soft bend there. Ragdoll forward fold. We've done a lot of strengthening into the hamstrings. We're gonna get a bit into some lengthening now. Bend your knees, bring your hips all the way down. Extend your legs long in front of you. Shift your butt bones from side to side, reach your arms up overhead, and then release your body up and over your legs, coming into a seated forward fold. We'll be here for about 10 big breaths. It's really focusing on the length in the hamstrings, the backs of the legs, but then also maybe feeling some activation or opening into your spine or your neck. You can opt to flex your toes. That's going to target a bit more into the calves and the Achilles, or you can just allow your feet to kind of be floppy and lazy. And bring your focus back to your breath. Every inhale, imagine that the spine could get a little bit longer. And every exhale, allow yourself to sink a little heavier into the stretch. Slowly start to bring yourself up. Lie all the way down on your back. Pull your right knee into your chest. And then extend your right leg into an assisted hamstring stretch. Now, if this is something that's feeling really hard for you, if you have like some sort of t-shirt or towel, you can use that to assist your stretch. You also don't have to worry about getting your right knee completely straight. You can have a bit of a bend through that knee. This is just meant to be more of a passive hamstring opener. We've done a lot of strengthening for that muscle group, so now we're finding a bit of lengthening there. Breathe into your belly. With every exhale, maybe you're noticing that the shin is getting a little bit closer towards your nose. Bend your right knee. Let's go ahead and swap sides. So pull your left knee into your chest. And then extend your left leg. You can grab hold of your ankle, your knee, your thigh, or if you need a bit more support, you can grab a towel or some sort of strap to assist this a bit more. And notice also from one side to the other, maybe you're feeling a bit tighter on the right or the left. Just something to notice, something to acknowledge in your own body. Take a few more big breaths here. Notice how the breathing can facilitate your stretch. And take one more nice big breath. And slowly release. Extend both of your legs long and heavy in front of you. Bring your arms to your side, or you can bring one hand to the belly, one hand to the heart. Allow your eyes to close or find a soft gaze. We just take these final few moments to come back into your breath. Take a moment of acknowledgement or gratitude that you've carved out this time for yourself today. And just give yourself the gift, this moment of stillness and silence with your breath and with your body. Thank you for joining us today. And that's your flow.